To make the bracelet, you'll need memory wire. And memory wire is a kind of wire that's permanently coiled into that shape. And you can get that at the craft store. And then you'll also need a charm. We chose a star charm that came with a little gem attached to it. And then you'll need seed beads. These are size 6/0 seed beads, and we have black, white, kind of a matte gold, light blue, and red. For tools, you'll need round nose pliers and wire cutters. To make the bracelet, the first thing you'll want to do is cut a piece of the memory wire. And memory wire comes like a slinky, and it stays in this shape, which is really nice to work with because it means that you don't need to put a clasp on it. You just slide it on like a bangle. And we're going to cut 2 coils of the memory wire, and we're going to leave a little extra to be our ends. So that's a coil. I'm starting with the end here and going all the way around once, and then I'm going to go all the way around again. So I'm picking up the next part of the coil to here. Now we've matched up again. And then I give myself a little extra room. I'm going to go about 1/4 of the way around, and I'm going to cut this memory wire. And memory wire is very hard. It's hardened so it'll stay in the shape, but it means you don't want to use your best wire cutters on it. Instead, you want to use a pair of heavy-duty wire cutters for it. And just a little elbow grease, and you can cut that. This is a really fun project to do with kids, and if you're doing it with kids, you can just cut these lengths of memory wire first for them. And then we want to put a little stopper in the end of the wire. And that is because if we put the beads on, they'll just go round and round, and then they'll come off the other end. So to keep them from coming off the end, we're just going to coil a little loop in the end of the memory wire. And I like to do that with the round nose pliers. I like to grab the end of the memory wire, and I'm going to give it a twist. And it's hard, like I said, so you have to give it a little bit of muscle and just turn it and then turn it again until you have a complete loop there at the end. You grab that again and turn it all the way around until you have a loop like that. So you can see that I have a little loop there now, and that's going to stop the beads from sliding off, and that'll just be a little decoration on the end of the memory wire. And then I'm going to start feeding the beads on from the other side. So I'm going to flip the memory wire over, and here's my end that I'm going to put the beads on. And I'm just going to invent a pattern of beads for this bracelet. I chose these colors. I thought they looked nice together. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to alternate a couple of the colors, like do this gold and blue a couple times. And feeding on the beads is pretty easy with these beads. These are kind of big. Sometimes we use smaller beads. Seed beads come in all sizes. And with smaller ones, you might want to know this trick, but you can also use it for this size. That is putting the beads in the palm of your hand. Just put a couple of beads in there. And then taking the end of the memory wire. And we call it kind of fishing, but you sort of tip the bead onto the wire like that. And then you can see it goes a little bit faster. It's also a little bit easier, I think, to see what your pattern is. So I can see what color I need next because it's right there. I need a gold and a blue. Whoops, I lost my blue. A blue and a gold. And then I think I'll switch patterns here. And I think I'll put on some whites at this point just for fun. I'm going to slide these beads all the way around to the end, and I think I'll put a couple of whites on here. Maybe not quite as big a color block as I did before. That blue and white went almost 1/4 of the way around. I think I'll just put a couple of these on. Just a little piece of color there. And then maybe some more blues. And you can just make up your pattern as you go, or you can plan it out if you want. You could do the whole thing with just alternating colors. And then at some point when you're beading, halfway through, you want to slide on the charm. And we chose this size bead because the jump ring on the charm is a little bit big, And so we need a bead that's bigger than this jump ring so that the jump ring doesn't slide over the beads. I'm just going to slide the charm on. And I'm going to slide it all the way around to there. And you can see if I push it up against the beads, it doesn't jump up over the beads. So that's a good size bead for this jump ring. And that charm is so cute. These came on a card with maybe 12 of these little stars, and each one had a different colored gem. We thought they were so pretty. And if you're going to make this like as a teacher gift, the star is really cute because it's like a star for teacher, right? You could put any charm on it. You could put an initial charm, would be cute. Or pick out a charm that's related if you're giving it as a gift. Pick out a charm that's related to the person, maybe a zodiac sign. I saw a very cute llama charm when I was shopping for these star charms. Isn't that pretty? So I'm just going to keep feeding on beads in, I think I'll do some more color blocking and then maybe some more, maybe black and white pattern here. I'm going to feed them on all the way around until I meet up with my beginning. So I'm going to have 2 coils of beads, and then I'll show you how to finish the ends. I finished beading the memory wire so that I have 2 complete coils of beads that go all the way around and match up to where we started. And I just made up a design as I went, kind of doing some color blocks and then some alternating colors, black and white and blue and gold. You can do it however you want. And now we're ready to finish this end. And we're going to make a coil in the end just like we did at the beginning. And to do that, we want to push all the beads around so we don't have any slack. We don't want looseness in here. So I'm pushing the beads this way so they go all the way around. And then I'm going to hold on to that last bead and hold on to the wire. And I want to cut the wire not very long, probably a ½ inch. So I'm going to use my wire cutters. These are those heavy duty wire cutters I have. And I want to hold on to both parts of the wire because I don't want this piece of wire to fly off when I cut it. So I'm just going to hold both parts and press down and cut that wire like that. And then I'm going to make the coil in the end just like we did before. I'm going to use my round nose pliers. I'm going to grab the end of the wire and I'm going to rotate to make that loop. I'm flipping the pliers over so I can get another torque out of it, another rotation. Rotate. I'm going to bend it again one more time and rotate so that I have a nice little coil in there. I want to make sure it's tucked in, the little end is tucked in there. And that'll hold my beads on and it looks nice. And then that is the easiest little bracelet to make, isn't it? We've done this with kids and they can do it and have fun. And that is how you make an easy memory wire beaded bracelet.